Welcome to Western Wisconsin Journal. I'm Bobbi Pominville, and I'm your reporter on the arts. Today we have a really good show planned. We are going to talk about art with Liz Malanaphy. And she has a BS from UW-Whitewater. That would be a major in science, but she does so many different things. She is a math and reading interventionist at E.P. Rock Elementary School. Well, I call that my alma mater, you know. And she's in charge of children's art at the Phipps Center for the Arts. And I just have to hear about that because that is one of my favorite subjects. So welcome to the show, Liz.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Sorry. We're going to tell the audience first how you got started teaching art to children in the summer at the Phipps Center.
Well, when we moved here 20 years ago, I had 4 children of my own who were very young, and I was looking for outlets for them and their creativity, which of course I found the Phipps right away, which this community is so fortunate to have the Phipps. So that was very exciting. And then, you know, I also am really, I really was looking for the natural surroundings, the environmental things that were special about this place. So found the St. Croix River right away too. So we kind of started hanging out at the Phipps and doing stuff down there. And I met Anastasia Sharton, and I met some other artists, started talking about the river and the connection between science and art, and how you can use art to help communicate the important things about water and the environment, science. And I just started thinking, you know, kids really need to learn about this. And it needs to be hands-on, so it's exciting for them. So it was probably, you know, maybe 10 years after we moved here that I started a program called Just Add Water at the Phipps. And we spend time in the summer studying the river. It's a great time to study the river. And then we create art that communicates the things we've learned about it and the importance of the water in our environment and in the world and how it connects everybody. So I just was so fortunate to meet like the exact right people all the way along.
Yes, and I've hit Anastasia on this show many, many times. And, you know, it's been a little quiet the last year and a half.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping things will be coming back. Now, will you be teaching this summer with the children about Just Add Water?
Yes, we're doing classes again. We're doing, I'm doing 5 or 6 sessions of Just Add Water, and it's small groups, maybe 7 at the most, I think, and everything's outside. Everything is outside. So we're doing a couple of different kayak trips. I wouldn't call them trips, but they're out around the bay. And the bay is very shallow, so you can go from the Phipps or the beach out to an island, and it's really pretty safe. And then out at the island that we go to, there are so many native mussels, you know, these kind of mussels, not these kind of mussels. So we go out there and we find those mussels. And those are what really make the St. Croix special, because we have mussels in our river that are in very few other rivers in the country and in the world. And that's what helps keep the river clean. So we're doing a couple of those, and we're doing a Just Add Water little TV show. So I don't know if you knew about this, but I did 4 episodes for the Phipps last summer when everything was virtual. 4 episodes of Just Add Water. They're like a little TV show, and they're on the Phipps YouTube channel. So we're going to make one this summer with the kids.
How wonderful. And I can actually get to that on my phone. So I think I can check those out. I didn't know you have that on there. Okay, now, what was my question? Oh, what age group are you talking now?
I think I have, in the summer, I usually have 4 to, all the way up to like 12 years old. And then they're divided into the ages, 4 to 6, I think, and 6 to 8 and 8 to 12. So you can find those, of course, on the Phipps website, and they have the ages right right with those on there. So check those out and sign up because I think there's limited spots this summer.
Oh, I'm glad to hear you have
I
some.
know.
This might go out to people that would want to know about that and could sign up their children. So I'm hoping in the audience you're going to get some response. So 8 years you've been doing that class.
I think it's 8 years. I kind of guessed a little bit at that.
You know,
It's been a while. Yeah.
that's quite amazing.
And we, in the past, when the Phipps is open, there's a little gallery when you go in the front doors. It's just to the right.
Oh,
That every summer is we call it the lab. It's the Phipps Just Add Water lab. And so that's where I set up, there's like hands-on interactive displays in there. And kids that are coming for other classes can go in and use the displays and learn things too. So my dream is to have like an actual interpretive center, like a small center for kids right down at the riverfront where they can come in and like a little, like a little water museum sort of. So that's kind of my dream.
That's a great goal. I hope it happens sometime. But anyway, oh, what fun to hear about that. And obviously you're very good with children because I could even tell when you were teaching me about it. You kind of slipped into your little mode of where you were using certain things like about the muscles. That was
yeah.
I bet they love that. Well, anyway, you're so creative and I just admire that so much. So now a little bit of a serious project was going on last year, and it was a 30.1 project. I called it the George Floyd Project because it was named for the number of miles from Hudson to Minneapolis where George Floyd died.
Right. So
to me, that was like, why is it named that? And then when I heard the answer, that was amazing. I'm just really, and to take on a project like that where it wasn't very popular, some people were avoiding the subject, but to create art in some way to sort of explain it. So I think it culminated in a mural.
It did, yeah.
Tell us about that mural.
So I called it Project 30.1 because it's a project. It wasn't just art and then we're done. The intention was really to have it be a movement or an ongoing effort, which it is. And so, I think I go to art as a response to things or as a way to communicate with people. It allows for communication with interpretation. So it allows people to figure it out kind of for themselves. And so when everything happened last year in May 25th, I thought we have to do something. We are not that far from where this happened. And it really did become, whether no matter what you think of it, it became the center of the entire world until now, even now. So I felt like we'd really be remiss in not recognizing the fact that we are only 30.1 miles from this place that was the center of the world. And the recognition of a human being, whether you think he was this kind of human being or that kind of human being, his death sort of united the world. And so it was a spark like I haven't seen in my lifetime. And that's where we came up with this idea for the mural and it's a premise. It's a premise to a better future. And that's what it's about. So.
Well, and people need to know about that. And I've always thought, just like music, you're expressing something very major when you're singing. And when you're doing your art projects, you have goals and you're thinking about a way to spread, about what happened in the cities and how close we are and how the year went on and on through the trial.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think it kind of ended in a good way because, he was found guilty, but how sad. And I know you were in the middle of developing this project, because when I
Yeah.
had Tacumba on the show,
Oh, yeah.
he mentioned your name right away. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I know Liz. So
Yeah.
anyway, you worked with Tacumba Aiken, who
Yeah.
is an artist in Minneapolis, right?
Yes, right. And he's an incredibly accomplished artist, and the artists that were involved in this project are, I don't think people realize how amazing and accomplished these artists are. You know, they're not from our community, but they are movers and shakers, and they are powerful artists in their communities. So to have their art here is such an honor. And I want people to understand that.
Oh, yes. And you know, I had him on Zoom, of course, but I asked him to show me various artwork he had done. And I immediately loved it. It was so vibrant and colorful and happy. And I believe he was trying to imitate the art of Africa, or the colors that remind him of Africa.
I think he's inspired by the movement and the colors, and and creating his own. So he also works with communities of people and has children working, and they put things down they all put things down, and he weaves them all together. So he is a weaver. He's a genius. He's really amazing.
Perfect for your committee. And I don't know if you wanted to mention anybody else, but I know there was a group of you working.
Yes, there were 7 artists who created the panels, the large panels. So the large panels were Gino Okak. He's a Nigerian artist, and then Sebastian Rivera was another artist, and Ron Brown is an artist from Minneapolis who is just prolific. He just creates and creates and creates. Lissa Carpa. Stephanie Howell, she's from Roberts. She grew up in Roberts and went to Menominee, went to UW Stout. And then Thomasina Top Bear. So she's an aerosol spray artist from the cities also. And then David Markson is from River Falls. So we had those artists who created the artwork, the big panels, and then over 350 people who created the small faces. And those faces that are on the mural are a promise to work toward a better future. That's basically, it's really like a giant greeting card saying, we are here. We are here to work on this, to support this. And that's a really trite description of it, but it really is a reminder, an ongoing reminder of the work that needs to be done. Yeah.
Oh, I agree. And you know what? Tacumba was telling me about the dream then to get these artists to come. Now, how did you reach out to these volunteers?
Well, that's where, I think originally I was going to create the artwork. I talked to the people who own the property that the wall is on, and we were just going to create the project. And then I was like, this isn't even my story. This isn't even my, it's not my voice that needs to be heard. And so talking to Anastasia, we had this meeting where we walked and talked and cried, and then Darby at the Phipps, who's the new director, executive director, they got involved, and we just Darby's got so many connections, and we put out a call for artists. And the call for artists was for BIPOC, but it was also for people from the River Valley. So we got the perfect mix of these voices that we needed. And that's, I was astonished. There were 13 artists, and we were going to choose 6, and we ended up choosing, 7 because we couldn't decide. And I was amazed at the work that they were doing and that they wanted to be part of this. It was really an honor. Really.
So were you doing this work at the Phipps before it was put up on 2nd Street?
Well, that was the hard thing, was that it's during the pandemic. So in conceiving the mural, I had to conceive of a way to create where people wouldn't be side by side. And so that's why the faces are all on plywood, little plywood faces. So my mom sanded 350 faces. my friend Liesl and Aaron Nelson's, Liesl's dad cut faces out. I mean, this was such a community. And then those faces went to people where they could paint them safely in their homes or on my front porch. We did this all last summer on my front porch outside. And then the artists, a couple came to the Phipps, and many of them I delivered the 6x4 boards and the paints to their places in Minneapolis, and they worked there. And then I kind of went back and forth and got the stuff if they needed me to. And so it was very much a sort of an all over the place. We created all over the place, and then it came together.
Mm-hmm. And the whole thing was supposed to represent all the different people in the world, kind of?
The whole idea behind it is, yes, it is very much that, what I heard from people about this project was that we didn't need to do it because there's no racism in Hudson. And I think the thing to remember is that whether you think that or not, whether you think there is or not, there is racism in the world. The racism is everywhere. And our community doesn't stop at our city limits. Our community extends to Brooklyn Center, to Minneapolis, to 38th and George Floyd. Our community extends, and if we don't do this work, this isn't going to stop. And so that was kind of the point behind it, was this world is a community, and these voices are all part of our community, and we can't just stop thinking about it because it's not in our face, So yes, and the people who painted the faces from our community really agree with that, and they want a better future, not just for themselves and their children, but for all children. So that's the idea behind it. Yeah.
That's a great message. And the artwork is many different colors. And that kind of goes with all the different races. So to me, it really speaks. It's a very valuable project. I am very proud that we have it in Hudson.
I am too, and I just recently learned of an archive that has been created by some professors at St. Thomas, that they have archived all of the art as much as they know about in the whole world that sprang up after this incident. And we are on there. Hudson, Wisconsin, Project 30.1. It's on this worldwide archive of art that has to do with this moment that changed the world. And I'm very proud of that too. I wouldn't have missed that for the world.
I'm so impressed when you tell me about all these things and how it was put together, and the sincerity and the genuineness of everybody working on it. Because these kind of things kind of touch me. And I think you're right. It's in Hudson. I know it is. I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is something that people could drive by and say, what is that? And even if they look at it or study it just a little, then you become a little bit of a part of the artwork. And
Right.
I like to think a little bit deeper, because I do not like to see people who we don't accept for any reason, including children. I mean, you and I work with children too.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so important for them to hear this as well.
Yeah. You're right. That's a great motivator. That's a tremendous motivator for me.
Beautiful. I couldn't understand how it was going to happen when he was explaining during that interview several months ago. I think I talked to him. I really didn't quite get it, how you were going to do the faces. But
listen, I didn't either. I didn't really either.
I couldn't understand it, really, tell you the truth.
Learning for me all the way along, and humbling and throwing yourself into something. And it was just the universe, just like shoo, and everything just came out where it was supposed to.
Yeah, just a beautiful idea, and look at the fruits of it. I get so impressed with it. Thank you so much for doing that. Being involved, it's so important, because you are really a creative brainchild person. I think you were right in the middle of it all. And I think that's amazing. Well, okay, now we're going back to reality a little bit.
Okay.
I want to know what your plans are for the summer. Well, you kind of touched on that. You are
Yeah.
teaching at the Phipps,
Right.
or maybe even beyond that a little bit.
Sure.
Are you dreaming at all? And what's going to happen with more opportunities for the children, maybe? I don't know. What do you have in mind?
Yeah, I have, you know what, I always have, I don't know what I have in mind either. It just, things just spring up, but I will tell you that, so everything is, everything is driven, I am driven by equity and equality and opportunities for kids. I'm driven by the fact that this world is so unfair. I mean, that we are living where we live with what we have, and there are people who don't even have enough to eat. I just, and that's not just a statement that I'm not just saying that. I think about that all the time. So it's really hard to figure out what to do about everything. And I heard this great quote. It was like, nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something. So what I try to do is figure out, and my passion has been typically and historically the environment and water. So as much as I want to be a part of everything else, I know that I have to kind of choose where I'm going to put my energy. And the environment is really important because, again, the people who live in poverty, the people who are on the fringes, the people who are disenfranchised, those are the people who are most affected when the environment is harsh. We can turn on our air conditioner, we can go inside our house, we can go on our boat, we can go in our pool, but there are people who can't do that, and we need to work on that. And so I will continue doing the Phipps, the environmental, the Just Add Water, the water science, continue doing that. And I've also been doing some little theater classes for kids. So the Phipps is amazing, but they typically have like 7th through 12th grade is kind of their target with the kids that are in the plays, which is so amazing. But I have a friend, that Brian Airdrick, who graduated from Hudson High School maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and we've been doing classes called Pop-Up Players, and those are theater classes for younger kids, kindergarten through 5th grade, kindergarten through 6th grade. And so that is really, it's very fun for them because it's very just, they create the plays. They create the plays. They are the characters they want to play. They work together. They have to learn to work together. But that's kind of what it's about, is creative expression, learning to work together. What's the moral of the story? What's the purpose of the story? And then they put the story together. And they were doing plays initially, but we've been doing, since last summer, we've been doing movies. We've been making movies with them. And they're on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. It's called Pop-Up Players, Hudson Pop-Up Players. So, yeah, so we're doing that.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, tell me how you get them to start creating and making up and getting into the play thing. Are you giving them a theme of any kind, or how do you do that?
Yeah, we have a theme for every play. So we'll put a theme out there, and then we'll talk about, we'll just say the little bit of the theme, and then you decide. And we get together with them and we just kind of say, what kind of character do you want to be? And what do you want to be? And then as we talk about those characters, we ask them, how do you think these fit together in a play? And what do you want to do in this play? And some of them don't want to say any words at all. And some of them want to write the play. And it's a place for them to do that and grow in their comfort level in terms of what they're willing and able to do. So, and we've seen that already. We've seen it.
I think that's excellent. I mean, when I was teaching, I was doing a musical every year in every grade.
Yeah.
And then that wasn't enough for me. So then I added some extra ones. Like in 5th grade, they had to do 2. But anyway, I was doing K through 12, K through 5 then. But anyhow, what I want to say is it's almost like a troupe that comes in and it's opera for the young or whatever, but they have to figure out a few things, you know, and these kids know all these Disney shows and movies. So I bet that some of that seeps in a little bit where they're saying, oh, I like to be that girl, or I
Right,
wish I could
right,
act
right.
like this. And that expression is so important to
is.
children that age. I mean,
Yeah.
that was the thing they lived for, it seemed like in my class. And if we only did it once a year, I mean, it was like gold.
Yeah.
So it wasn't enough.
Right.
They need
Right.
to create.
Right. And I think there are kids, every child has what they like to do and what their strengths are and what they're good at. And I think those children who for whom theater is their love and their strength, they're discovering that. And they just get to discover it a little bit earlier. And then they grow in their strength and confidence in it.
Yes.
And then they continue to do it. So, because everybody has something to bring to the table, they do.
That's true.
And we got
even if they just want to be backstage or they want to do a little job for me, like holding a program, they all got involved in some way.
Yeah.
That's what you want. And, someday those shy ones and reluctant ones will probably come out of their shell.
Yes.
And then they'll be like, oh, I remember that play we did.
Yeah,
and it was so cool.
Exactly.
And I just find that, I don't know, a very important subject you brought up with me is for kids to express themselves and feel good about themselves. So now, is that actually going to run not this year, but maybe another year?
Well, it's going on now. It's through Community Ed. So Hudson Community Ed, you can find it on the school website, and we have done a number of plays and movies already. So if you look at Hudson Pop-Up Players YouTube channel, they're all on there, and then we're doing them all through the summer. So there are summer classes too that kids can take, and they're up and available now for them to do. And it's and we do them at Willow, right at Willow River Elementary, because they have a little stage.
Yeah.
And
are you talking about Lee Auditorium?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's still there. I mean, I did a lot of musicals there. But what I want to say is, do you think the word's out on that and are people signing up? And I hope they realize what a great opportunity that is.
Well, we've had some really good classes in terms of numbers, and then it was a little smaller for the pandemic, because people were worried, and that was fine. That's when we kind of went to the the movie making, because we wanted them to be able to show it to grandparents and other people who couldn't maybe come to the auditorium. And now we're kind of back. We're hoping that in the summer one of those summer classes, we might be able to do an actual play again. And Brian's amazing. Brian is my co-teacher, and he's just like really funny, really good actor, just a hilarious, much younger than I am, but just really great with the kids. So it's really, the kids have a blast. They have a blast.
I love to hear about this. So was this the little secret thing you were going to tell me about?
This is what I was going to tell you about. Yeah, this is like
I wanted to hear everything that you were doing, and I wasn't aware that you were doing things like that. So, okay, question for people that might be in the audience listening and have questions. Do they wear their masks at the class?
Yep, we wear our masks at the class. So if you watch any of the videos, you'll see that's a little bit of a challenge to the speaking.
Oh, yeah.
And the projecting, but they do wear their mask. They wear their masks at the class. So once in a while we go outside and then they can take them off. But we follow all of the district safety protocol at the classes. So we wear our masks, they wear theirs. And sometimes we have to type in little subtitles for what they're saying, but you can mostly tell.
Yeah.
It's
most people have that question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because, we're not quite through with it.
Right.
We're close, but we're not quite through with it. So we want to keep those children safe. That's for sure. But oh my goodness, we're so lucky that you do these things. I just admire you so much for developing new ideas for children and for presenting the science thing. I've always wished I knew more about science as a young girl, I really didn't know a whole lot about it. Now I'm kind of into it. I mean,
Right.
really, but things change and you open up your horizons.
Right.
And, you know, I live in an art world because my husband taught art.
Yeah.
My son is a graphic artist in Anaheim. So I've got all that side. But then
Yeah.
I'm the music one and I'm kind of a little different than that. But anyway, I'm open to all of this. And oh, what fun talking to you today.
Yeah, it was great.
Good. It's been a long time, I know that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I have to wrap it up. So did we miss anything?
I don't think so. I mean, I really,
Not at
you know,
all.
like you said, I think the main thing that drives me, drives you is helping kids find what they love.
Exactly.
When they find what they love, then they do it.
This is just an answer to, you know, creating children that have all these ideas and wonderful experiences.
Right.
And I think that's so important. So, well, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it, Liz. I'm going to have to say that you're going to have to come back again sometime.
Okay, I will.
Because I love talking about your projects too. So thank you again.
We can do the pop-up players. I'll have Brian come back with me. He's hilarious.
Oh, I love to see. I got to go on YouTube. I was just on it today, but I didn't know what I was doing. So
I'll send you a link.
I do want to say to the audience that I hope you got some great ideas from the interview today. And if you need any more information, I know we'll put up the Phipps information. You could check that out, or you can also write into the River Channel if you like to. But thank you for watching today.